There are more ways to celebrate than ever before at the Jeep Celebration event. Hurry in for great deals today on the only brand that lets you go anywhere and do anything. And now financing get $2,500 total cash allowance on the purchase of a 2022 Jeep Grand Cherokee WK Laredo 4x4. Don't miss this great offer. Hurry into the Jeep Celebration event today. Financing for qualified buyers through Chrysler Capital. Not all buyers will qualify. Residency restrictions apply. Must take retail delivery by 5/2/22. Jeep is a registered trademark.
Hi there, I am Adam Kirbas. I am here in Turkey, Ordu. I hope you all are doing fine. We are still in the pandemic. However, today in today's episode, I want to again go back and talk about me in a way, because I think some issues needs to be clearing. And one issue, of course, is not only about me, but as well as in general, and this is motivation. What motivates someone? I mean, I do admit I heard once, this is what I read about Steve Jobs, that when he wakes up in the morning and looks into the mirror, then he questions his life goals or whatever. Well, I don't know. Well, I wish it were be so that way, but in general, it is always difficult to talk about motivation, because it is always you some sort of give ideal answers. The truth is, or the issue of it is always the truth. How much is you really admit, and how much is actually reality. One thing is for sure. Motivation is a big factor, and I woke up many hard days in my life, and still do, where when I wake up in the morning, some days I feel a rage. I'm after what happened to me. I made a lot of references to that, but note that I cannot talk about this, not because I don't want to talk about it, not at all. I think it is very important to talk about what happened in Austria. This is not about me, but in a way, as well as to protect people, to stop certain practices which are being conducted in Austria, which are dangerous. We are living in a pandemic. This should some sort of give everyone a means, or should stop and think about this. What this meant, that so many people died and so on. However, I cannot talk about certain issues because it is more likely that I would be blocked, that this account would be some sort of erased. And this account is, in general, it is very important for me, because I need this to, in a way, verify my identity. This is one of the big issues. Other people will have it very easy to verify their account on social media. I cannot do that. At least I need a lot of help from outside, and these things, and my identity was stolen many times. This was a big issue, and it was remarkably suppressed in the media, especially in Austria. Actually, only a few people outside of Austria know about it. At least this is the last I know about it. However, this has become a big issue, and you can't talk about this. And this is not me being overly cautious, not at all. This happened. I know of this, of experiences. This is my Twitter account was taken down, and so on and so forth. But nevertheless, if your identity has been stolen, and if there were many attempts on your life, then you understand in a way that you have to step back and ensure your survival. This is indeed important. I mean, it would be stupid to claim that your own life would not be important. Your life is important, especially for those people who depend on you, for those people whose life would be miserable, or in a way when you can either willingly or unwillingly have contributed to a development for the better when your actions, even though did not intended it, you did not know about it, some way, in a way, exposed some dangerous development within a society or within a group or whatever. I do not think that this is a bad development at all, and I mean, identity theft was a big issue, and this was real. I mean, I was even accoladed twice. I mean, I got two accolades, but they were revoked. I declined them because they were not meant for me. These accolades were given to me in the assumption that I would not be living anymore, and so on and so forth. I mean, again, this is a very tense topic. This happened in Austria, and because of this, I mean, self motivation is for me very difficult. I mean, if you ask me why you write all this stuff, I would say it is not because I fancy myself. I mean, those people who know my social media accounts, I mean, I don't have much followers. I mean, truth be told, I do not do this for followers and likes. I mean, I would say if I get followers or likes, these are, or at least I assume these are mostly fake accounts, or they may be real. I don't know. I don't know, and I don't much care. But in that sense, I don't really do it for likes. I don't really care whether someone likes it or not. I do it rather for myself. I do it it is partially therapy, of course. You write things down. I mean, those screen plays like Invert and Lifesaver, they have real elements in them. Some of uh, some of the things that happened there, or which are being described there, indeed happened. This is even, especially those hideous ones. I mean, and since you cannot talk about this openly, because then you are immediately censored or even put on or even being derided derided as a conspiracy theorist. I mean, this is very cautious. You have to be cautious, and in this time, I mean, I went to hell and back, and in this time, I understood one thing, and this is that money can buy happiness. This may sound stupid, but if you consider money not as something that you can buy fancy stuff, this is what many people think, and this is what I thought about it. But you understand when money can guarantee your freedom, and this is what you have to really, especially in our days, especially in this time, and especially if you're a foreigner, if you're a migrant, if you went through what I went through, then you understand that money can guarantee freedom, and freedom itself then can guarantee you independence and in extent then happiness. So money has in this one thing, and of course I'm an author. I wanna sell things, even though if it is not working well. I mean, this, there is still the shadows of the past are looming above my head. People who did that got away with it. I mean, this is uh, the world we are living in, that some people, they can do whatever they want and they do not face justice. But I mean, of course, you try to make your best of it, and every day, and it is not that it had to stop. I mean, if I'm here in Turkey, people still some sort of want to um, take over my identities. They're still sneaking around me. I mean, I see them. This was the same in Austria. In Austria, those people, I mean, the person who stand face to face with me and said that I am Adam Kirbers and so on. These people, they still sneaked around me. So there's still an attempt of some groups to take over my identity. So you are in a way constantly reminded of this. It is not something that has stopped, not at all. And this always plays into to your motivation, because you know, and this happened in the past. I mean, I survived many attempts on my life, and you, every day if I get up in the morning, of course I ask myself, yeah, what for? Because I know that if these people succeed taking over my identity, this could all be lost. I mean, I somehow as well as ask myself what for, but you always say, or at least I say to myself, the only thing that some sort of it is prevents this from crumbling is my survival. I mean, or it all depends on my survival, and I get up every day. It is not that I have plans or whatever. I mean, my plans have are pretty much ceased. I mean, if you survive one attempt of at your life after another, this changes you. I mean, you think differently, of course. You think differently about your future. You think differently about the time you live. In a way, some sort of from day to day, and in that uh, moment, writing becomes some sort of a therapy for you to ease your conscience, or not conscience, but ease your mind. I assume. I mean, this there is a lot of indications that it will come to another uh, brawl or whatever. I mean, this is something you are waiting for, and I have been waiting in the past for this confrontations as well, and they were pretty much, I would say, in my favor, successful. I do not feel ashamed of it. I did the necessary, and not only the necessary, but I mean, I don't want to say that it felt good in a way to fight the enemies of humanity, to fight the enemies of of liberty. Nevertheless, I do not feel any remorse or whatsoever. Especially, you have to be aware that these people, they decided to do that. They came all the way here in my home to do whatever what, and I drove them back. I'm actually indeed very proud of my actions. This is something I will never feel ashamed of. The only thing I regret is that I should have done these things earlier, that I should have stood up for me earlier, that I shouldn't have, that this shouldn't have come so far. This was partially my hesitation. This was me overthinking. However, of course, in a way, it is very difficult. And then you wake up every day, your motivation is some sort of crumbled. I mean, you sit there in front of a paper or whatever. I mean, I write mostly on bad the app works. Yeah, it works, however, and then you somehow think about it. I mean, there are days where I'm just dragged down. I mean, this happens where I say to myself, oh, what what is the sense of and purpose of it? I mean, this is what you really say to yourself. I mean, you get up in the morning, whatever, and then and it drags you hard down, and then it is. I think it is really hard to somehow really then keep going to see a purpose in it. I mean, it is not that I have any plans or so that I would say, yeah, in 4 to 5 years, maybe I will be over. I will have overcome this. Maybe this, somehow this will be left behind. Not at all. I mean, um, your plans of the future is rather your plan B because uh, truth be told, you do assume that they might succeed and they almost succeeded. It is not like that I some sort of would over exaggerate or would exaggerate this. They almost succeeded. And this not once, many times, and it was rather luck. You could say it was rather luck that I could survive these attempts, and and if someone still has not stopped doing this, if some group, some people still are behind these things, then you of course assume that this will go on. But in a way, of course, you think about the future as well, but not about you anymore, because in a way, I mean, if if your life is constantly under threat, you some sort of stop making plans for yourself, and you do not really think about yourself and your future anymore. It is rather about survival, but nevertheless, of course, you think about future generations. Of course, you think about victims and what might happen. I mean, this is I talked about this. I asked this woman who would make scam trials, these scam artists who would make scam trials and then deceive other people, rob them of their livelihood. And she told me she has been doing this for decades. I mean, this is in an Austrian courtroom. This is happening in front of the eyes of everyone. And you then ask yourself, yeah, how many people are involved in this, and assumably many. How many people's lives are being destroyed? Of course, this is something you think, and you have to be aware. I mean, if you hit rock bottom, and if you do not really see any future of your life, and so on, and then of course you want to do something good in your life. I mean, this is, and especially if you some sort of already assume that you will die eventually, or could die, because it could happen any time, anything, and it almost happened many times. I mean, you could sit back and think about your life, what you have accomplished. Yeah, but these things, they don't last long. I mean, I don't know, what did I really accomplish. No, I would not say something remarkable. I mean, my brain works in a certain pace, and this allowed me to write about things. However, but nevertheless, you some sort of think to yourself, all these people, all these people who were deceived of their lives, of their freedom, they were robbed of their purpose, and now you could make some sort of a last change, last difference, because your own life seems to has already hit rock bottom, and you somehow do not see yourself getting out of it. And of course, you have to be aware that I was a victim of this as well, of many, many times. And as a victim, you feel indeed humiliated. I mean, you feel devastated. You feel, I mean, this is what I felt constantly. And this was that I could not do anything against it. I mean, it really felt that way, especially in Austria. I felt that I can't do anything, that these people can do with me whatever they want, and that my life entirely depends on their goodwill. And this really happened. I mean, this happened in the university. This happened in other parts. I mean, if you're incarcerated for no reason whatsoever, only for the sake that someone can steal your identity, or even worse, harvest your organs. I mean, this is something you have to endure. I mean, even there, they can do with you whatever they want. I mean, or I lived in a student's dormitory. I mean, people would walk in to my home, and even recently in the pandemic, despite the fact there were lockdown, people would walk in to your room, would wear your clothes, and would make stupid selfies or what have you. And it is even more of this. It is like that someone has some sort of, you has no private safe space, and this was not the far right groups or whatever. This was really the left, and especially the Austrian left who did this. I mean, if this happens to you, this is indeed devastating. I mean, someone can do with you whatever they want. Or here in Turkey as well. I mean, this is the home of my parents, and these Austrians, Germans, they come in to your home with such a self-assurance that they would own your life, that they can do with you whatever they want. Or as well as in the university. I mean, this was really humiliating in a sense. They would bring in some people from the street, homeless people whatsoever, then they would put them in front of you just for the sake to diminish you, because I was some sort of considered too smart for the white leftist elite, and they thought I needed to be taught a lesson. Or, I mean, what always happens, that my phone is being hacked, that data is being erased. I mean, my laptops are being destroyed, and so on. I mean, this is indeed something which destroys you. It destroys your confidence. I talked about it, and you feel, of course, a rage. I mean, who wouldn't? And you feel victim as well, but as well as a deep hatred. I mean, I have to admit, I mean, I do hate Austria. I mean, I hate everything of the German language because of this and many things which happen in rural Austria and so on. I mean, of course, this leads to hatred. I mean, you can't do anything against it, and your hate is some sort of, it leaves you restless. I mean, if you are being humiliated, if someone can do with you whatever they want, and then you cannot do anything against it, because in all those racism help guides, in all those people who supposedly should protect you from racism, yeah, these are exactly the very same people who commit all this stuff, and you have no one to talk to. You are isolated. I mean, this is how this all works. This is why they were so effective, as well as when you are always being dehumanized, when you are not even considered a human being anymore, then you will immediately see that everyone assumes that he or she can do with you whatever they want, and this actually really happened. I mean, all these false spread rumors, all this slander, everyone was in the game, and this was, of course, was devastating, and this is and this is actually one of the reasons why I stopped writing in German and then adopted English, despite the fact that German is my mother tongue, because of hatred. I mean, this is what's been left to you, deep hatred against everything that's German, everything that's Austrian. I mean, I even think, especially after the pandemic, it is just irresponsible to buy any German or Austrian goods. It is, however, this is my opinion. I mean, of course, and this hatred, this dominates you. I mean, this dehumanization, that you are being robbed of your essential, and of course, you always think to yourself. I mean, why me? This is what I always thought about it. I mean, why me? What did I wrong? Or whom did I wrong? And this question always looms about you. You keep coming back to this question. Your mind is some sort of keeps swirling around this why me, and then you by the way realize that this question why me is actually a very egoistic or egocentric question, because you then say or you hope for that there might have been an alternative, that you should have been spared from this and so on. I mean, of course, especially when you are a victim and if you are being some sort of outcast, and if you are partially reigned by hate, you wanna do something better. You wanna some sort of leave this behind and accomplish something, and then use some sort of, in order to bolster your morale, in order to some sort of motivate yourself. You always say to yourself, or at least I say to myself, well, it had to happen to me, because if someone else, or if this would have happened to someone else, this person would have been pretty much destroyed by it, and now it happened to me, and I have the intellectual or the willingness to fight this over, and therefore maybe this can come to a positive end. I mean, I always thought, I mean, this is you think about this as well. I mean, whether you could have, in a way, stopped it. I mean, where should I have stopped it? I mean, this is something I thought about it a lot, over and over again. When did this thing all go south? When could I have prevented it, that it came to what it came? And I mean, these things then start to go into nowhere. I mean, then you say, okay, then it may have started in my childhood. I mean, how many years do you want to go back? It started in my childhood. It started there. I mean, this, you lose yourself in the same is with whether you could have ever solved this with a conversation, whether you could have talked about this ever. And this, again, you cannot talk with someone who does not see you as a human being, who does not see you as an equal, who thinks that you are a migrant, a lowlife, and that you are, in a way, that you have to be proven, or that the world has to be proven that you are a lowlife and that you are a second-rate human being, and that this is why shouldn't be any conversation with you whatsoever. And this is, I think, this made any conversations or any aspect of solving this problem in a way with words pretty much obsolete, because you have to be aware of one thing, that someone can use this, and this happened to me as well, can really manipulate, or if someone is very gifted in manipulating public opinion, so that despite the fact that you are the victim, someone can turn public opinion against you, so that you are being considered the perpetrator. You cannot really solve any issues with just talking, with just conversation. However, it doesn't matter whether any people can talk or talk about non-violent communication. I sat in those seminars of non-violent communication these were led by the very same people who tried to steal my identity, who even then did atrocities. Also, this these things, they just don't work out. I mean, I know what this all means, and especially in Austria, where this legal system and as well as the state, I mean, it did just not function well. I mean, in Austria, everyone who wants to can do whatever he wants. I mean, it was really hideous in a way. I mean, some people would dress up as policemen, stop you, harass you, then as lawyers, then in the university they come in. It is some sort of a new gag, new joke among white leftist people in the US. White leftists, they paint their faces black and pose in front of cameras, whereas in Austria and Germany, the white left, they dresses up as policemen, as as judges, as university professors, and then some sort of mob foreigners, or try to destroy other people's life. And of course it makes you infuriate. Of course you are mad about this, and I was, and I still am. I mean, but it is some sort of, and indeed you want to find a solution for this. I mean, you cannot live in a constant state of war, and you want this to end, of course, not only for your sake, but as well as for the sake of other people, as well as for future generations. But you don't know how. That's the big issue, because how can you stop this from happening? I mean, when I see here in Turkey as well as in Austria, the very same people who stole your identity or did all these atrocities, they apparently are not in prison or whatsoever. They roam the streets. I mean, we are talking about some very threatening cases, and they are even being released. I mean, this of course makes you think about it. I mean, this is of course, I mean, makes you deeply hate Austria. I mean, I hate everything of Austria, and I don't want to hold back of to announce my hatred. I mean, I think one of the worst places to be in this crisis would actually be Austria. This is again my personal opinion. It has to do with what I have experienced with this, and not once, but many times, and I, to this very day, deeply regret having ever applied for the Austrian citizenship. I mean, I am Austrian citizen, and I just do not associate myself as Austrian. I will never associate myself as Austrian. For this, I hate this country and these people just too much. I despise them. I mean, if I had to choose, I didn't want to speak a word German for the rest of my life. I mean, I don't want to have to do anything with these people. However, it is because partially of the citizenship, partially that these people still cannot leave you alone, that you still are being trapped in this. I mean, it is something which is not over, which has not ended. I mean, I started writing in English, which I think was a great relief for me. This is something, because for me, writing in Austrian or in German writing in German, it was just so devastating because this is the very same culture, the very same language who does not consider me as a human being, and then you use this language, then you use this culture to create this cultural good. I mean, this is indeed. I mean, uh, Austrians, neither Germans ever appreciated what I did. Only those two accolades which I got for children books. Only this they were the only acknowledgement whatsoever, but then they were meant for something entirely else, and they were not meant for me in that sense, not only to ruin my name. And yeah, of course, this makes it very difficult, and I always wanted to leave Austria. I mean, I cannot imagine to live in Austria ever. I mean, for this, I just hate these people too much. I mean, my life is in peril in Austria ever. I mean, even here, these people here in Turkey who sneak around me, they actually think that once they have got my passport or whatever, no matter what, the Austrians, they would help them, and they even think that. I mean, I don't know whether this is true, but some of these people think that. Don't you worry, the Austrians, they want him all dead, and if we get rid of him, then we would do the Austrians a favor, and they would then appreciate us. They would some sort of look away when we then come to Austria and some sort of resume his identity. This is what these people really think and assume, and so on. That's the reason why they are sneaking around me, and they have indeed the right or are true in their assumption because it was successful. It happened twice publicly. Someone else uh, took over my identity and then got those accolades, and yet to this very day I don't get free of them. To this very day, this is still haunting me, and my life is very insecure or is still under threat from this. I mean, the worst place for me to live would be Austria. I just hate this place. I mean, and I could not imagine living there. I mean, what life would that be? I mean, I can assume when I would live in Austria, in my absence, everyone would come in to my home. You don't know whether you are getting busted. Then every year before Christmas, you get busted for this sole reason that some people can wear your clothes and then go to their family meetings and so on. I mean, never, Jesus, never. I mean, I would not want to live ever in Austria. And all this time I try to do one thing, and this is to get out of this despicable country, to leave these people behind. I mean, all this time I'm trying. I did not start writing in English because I thought that I would earn money whatsoever. No, I just could not bring myself to write in German anymore. This is how much hate I feel towards this language, towards these people. I don't mind whether, I mean, because it was actually a disadvantage to write in English, because in English I'm not that proficient as in German, no matter that so many Austrians say that I would be not capable of speaking proper German. I mean, racist, and sadly enough, these are leftist racists. And however, it didn't me not good. I don't think that my writing became better since I started writing in English, but nevertheless, I feel way more liberated. I feel every word, every sentence I speak in English has, for me, in my conscience. They believe that I do good instead of when I write in German or speak in German or whatever. Then I always felt that I some sort of help to maintain a dangerous cause, a, a menace for society and so on, because this culture, it is not new. I mean, xenophobia, hatred, this is not new within this culture. This is very common. This was before that. I mean, and this happened in Vienna as well, so that they use anti-Semitic vocabularies against other foreigners. That's why you have to look carefully. That's why you have to open your eyes to this society. And I just cannot associate myself as an Austrian whatsoever. This for me, this is unthinkable. People who just hate you, who made my life miserable. Because of these people, I'm there where I am. I'm still think I would be way better off when I would have started writing in English way earlier, when I wouldn't have been so hesitant, because I wanted to start writing in English earlier, but I was always some sort of I did not have the self-confidence, because I mean, this was partially my own fault, because back in the school I was a lazy slug. I did not learn my vocabularies, my English vocabularies properly. I did not invest much time in school for language. I mean, if I had known what my life would come to, that my life would derail, and one chance to avoid this would have been English. I mean, then of course I would have invested a lot of time for English lessons. However, and I mean, in a way, I'm over 30, and in a way, you cannot change it anymore. I mean, I was mad about it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I was infuriated. I was mad about it. I mean, I thought that I have lost my life, and without prospect that it will ever come to a positive end. I mean, I made my peace with it now, but there was a day I swear I could not sit a moment still. I was rested. I wanted to someone pay for this, because I just didn't see that justice was done, and it wasn't. I mean, these people who are still sneaking around me, they are still rubbing in under my nose, and this was back in the day when you still thought, I mean, one day we will overcome this. One day I will leave this behind, and then you will see. Then I will look back and so on. But now it has changed. I mean, your perception has changed, because you see life differently, and you could say more and more by the time you make your peace with it, and then you understand, I'm only one of 7 billions, and maybe what happened to me, this could be the chance in a way to bring about chance. And this is when you, piece by piece, you some sort of mitigate your hatred, mitigate your anger, and then you do wanna good, you do wanna create something, even though I do not believe that I will bring about change with words. So I don't believe that my texts or what I write will ever change people's minds. I think we need, therefore, other means are necessary. However, but it can probably, if a smile, a laugh or two, well, who knows? I don't know. Who knows? At least it helps me a lot. Sometimes, I mean, I don't do this very often. Sometimes I read my own stuff, some sort of, if I correct it, and it makes me happy. So maybe it does others too. However, this was Adam Kivas from Ordu. I hope you all are doing fine. Bye.
Geico asks, how would you love a chance to save some money on insurance? Of course you would. And when it comes to great rates on insurance, Geico can help. Like with insurance for your car, truck, motorcycle, boat, and RV. Even help with homeowners or renters coverage. Plus, add an easy-to-use mobile app, available 24-hour roadside assistance and more, and Geico is an easy choice. Switch today and see all the ways you could save. It's easy. Simply go to geico.com or contact your local agent today.